Hey Warcraft, look at me, I'm on the Warcraft thing again. You know what, I was thinking about software development today, and I thought about how I had a really interesting conversation with ChatGPT, and it told me that I was right about everything. Now, it might have been lying, but it's interesting to think about. Was I right about everything? So, I sort of feel like in the past, if you restrict yourself to certain development practices and pursuing what some people would think of as good software, you can actually obtain a tremendous rate of change and speed in updating your software using technologies that maybe other people don't tell you to use today. And so, for a lot of people, they might look at something like Warsmash and they just see a whole bunch of files on a computer and they think, well, where did all these files come from? This is crazy. There's so many files. It just must be magic, And then you play it, and one moment here, the loading times are a little slow. But let me try turning this on and talking about it for a moment. Let's see where we're at. It does have a bit of a loading time. It really is. That is the truth. Maybe right now on this computer especially, I just recloned the code. What do we got here? Unable to spawn config function. Now, why is that happening? We got some JAS errors. Why do I have JAS errors? I didn't even want to play a map. Let's not play a map. Let's just run it. What are my JAS errors? So if you ever have JAS errors, you got to go to the logs folder. And I know this is not the best software in the end that I've created, but let's check this logs folder. What do we got? Undefined function, add unit ability. It's really failing on this. I was able to solve this problem actually with a piece of code that I just put in the wrong place. Right, so basically if I check out render menu with Shelly configs branch and I try to get that folder I was just looking at, core assets, that's actually the wrong folder. Sorry, it took me a second. I should have slept more last night. I'll probably sleep soon. Resources folder. So we go to the resources folder and we look at what's in there. Inside the resources folder, there's scripts and then there's abilities utils, which was broken. So I'm curious now, actually, if I diff against head, where are we at with abilities utils? I don't know. This thing. So because I have VJAS now natively, the code I added here has to be a VJAS library natively. So that's stupid. But anyway, what's the point I'm trying to make? So you fix that, all the code's compiled, it's all in the cache, you click play, it plays the game from source, which is, it's great, that's how you want it to be. You go into something like custom game, try to play some sort of map, I don't know. I apparently picked the wrong map. How about that? They got me. What is that? That's a really stupid problem to have. Add unit ability. It's still failing. And then you think to yourself, how is it still failing if I just fix that? And to be honest, I'm not entirely sure. That seems wrong. That seems like it shouldn't still be failing. I have had a problem similar to that here in Eclipse long ago from like not refreshing with F5 or something. That's probably not it. What do we think is the problem here? This just shouldn't be this hard. We can go to single player and try it. What are we talking about? Why is this not matching? Maybe the problem, and again, this is sort of speculation, might be that the config file is set on reign of chaos. We don't spend a lot of time in reign of chaos. Maybe it's broken. Should just use a frozen throw. Not sure what the deal is there. Alright, single player, custom, we got Dark Forest. Oh, that doesn't work either. This is getting really old really fast. Alright, we gotta figure out what's happening. So if I go to the logs, what's going on in the JAS log here? This is just stupid. Okay, so the War Stomp ability is failing to load, which is ridiculous because I thought I deleted it. And then we're blowing up because we don't have this other stuff. So maybe the problem is that you don't want any script errors. I'm using, you might not have this. There's two ways of doing the config file. There's provided abilities defaults, which runs a JAS script to load all the other JAS scripts. Or you can just load all the JAS scripts at once in one big context as though it was, you know, a single map or something with this sort of library concept. I was doing that library concept, but this stupid war stomp ability needs to get deleted because it's not finished, it's broken. You fix that, run the thing, maybe it'll just work. I wonder if that's the problem I had even on Reign of Chaos. I was kind of, you know, brainstorming Reign of Chaos problem. Reign of Chaos is problem. Let's see what we got. All right, Crucible. Hey, there we go. Okay, so now I can actually play the game, and I can try to talk about, can we do good software development? So, you know, the other night I turned the game on, and I point out all these things that are wrong. And the challenge is, you know, I feel like in a really good software dev environment, whenever you have a problem that's wrong, you just fix it. You know, you just go. Let's think about that. So, like, if you just go. You just want to fix a problem. Let's talk about what was one of the problems I had recently. I was talking about, you guys know how when a worker goes inside a building, what happens. So if I'm a worker and I use C-ability build, you know, and that's not even the right one, that's build in progress. But let's say I use orc build, you know, I use orc build. The worker goes in there. What does he actually do? You know, orc build, when he begins this behavior, he does the build behavior. The build behavior, he walks over to a point and then he does this function. And what's the function he does? Well, he creates the constructed structure at the location, and then on that structure, he sets worker to, you know, our self, and then he sets pause to true and hidden to true. And the problem is the new API is add unit type or something like that. Add unit type simulation C unit type JAS stunned or something like that. And then somebody else is going to come along and say, well, the stunned JAS type doesn't really work, so you can't do that. What else do you have? And part of my concern is that in the really good code configuration, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So close all the other files. Look, what are we doing here? My functions don't work. My keyboard doesn't work. So I wanted to get a hero, so I'm going to talk about a hero here for a second, but I'm trying to understand, what are we looking at? So this code editor is like broken. Why is it broken? So typically, if we, what is it like? Think I have one of the Alt keys down or something? I don't. So I can control copy. That's just really sad that everything has to be broken. I bet Microsoft did this. I don't know how they did it, but I bet they did it. I don't think I changed this file. So, oh, that killed that, of course. Okay. So if I run this thing again that I was just running, and we launch it again, the point I'm trying to make that apparently, and this is where I feel like software is crumbling. Software is crumbling, and they want us to think that it's all going to be saved by AI, and it's not. It's not. AI is stupid. The AI is trying to get back to where we already were, but in a new way. It's so stupid. You know, you use like, I don't know. Maybe it's a lot faster, but what are we doing? Why? I can't even, my hotkeys don't work. How are my hotkeys unbound? What are we doing? What are we doing? This is extremely frustrating that you can't, see, there you go. Now the hotkeys work. What changed? What changed? Okay, so anyway, the point I was trying to make is add unit type here. Oh, the hotkeys only work over here in the top of the file. It really is that broken. Okay, so you look at something like add unit type, the thing I was trying to jump into. I was just being frustrated that I would have had to click that much to get here. This has add cheesy state mod buff, and that's stupid. There shouldn't be add cheesy state mod buffs. There probably shouldn't be state mod buffs at all. The code here is, you know, combining things from multiple authors and GitHub contributors, and that brought us to where we are. But one of the points I'm trying to make is the ability to just jump around the code anywhere you need to go and do anything you want to do. You know, so you look at org build, and I think to myself, okay, so I had this problem in the past. What is this doing? This is doing some auto format. You don't need to do that. Don't need to do any of that. Okay. Yeah, don't need to do that. You look at something like org build, and you look at where we said set paused, and now instead I'm going to add the stunned unit type. And that's stupid, but you know, the other problem is going to be when the building finishes, we're not going to unstun correctly. So we're going to have to fix that. But all of these different things share org build. You know, Night Elf build, it actually extends org build. So it's just going to inherit that change. What about Naga build? I don't even think Naga build exists. I didn't probably make that yet. You get inside this thing, and what is pop out worker, I think? Pop out worker, great function. Pop out worker is the same thing, but it unsets pause, right? So this you would want to remove unit type. You see my auto suggest I have here? It's a perfect auto suggest. Perfectly suggests the game, perfectly suggests C unit type jazz.stun. This is a perfect auto suggest created like a dozen years ago or something. We already had code automation that writes the code for you as you're typing. That's not new. You know, you don't need Microsoft's AI to do that. They have that with, you know, IntelliSense from whatever. And I don't even think these guys called it IntelliSense. I don't know what they called it, but it's, you know, it's just smart. Java programming is such a dumb language that you can automate writing it, and then you don't have to anymore. But unlike ChatGPT, where you're limited by a context window of how big of a file you can upload into the ChatGPT, you can literally upload your entire code base into the autosuggest. So in the same way I can be inside unit, I can suddenly say, what about if I want to go to C ability cluster rockets, and I'll jump over to cluster rockets, and I'm inside there, and I'm like, yeah, but what if I actually want to see simulation step time of the game? Each turn takes step. What is that? I don't know. What about gaming network UDP port? You know, bing, 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 and you go through the entire code base. The whole context is loaded all at one time. Now I'm right back to pop out worker. These are not mythical powers. These are things that were invented a dozen years ago or more or something. By the time that I started using them, other people who had been doing them for 15 years on the job taught me how to do that kind of thing. It's very simple. You learn your IDE hotkeys. They kind of said they'd fire people who didn't know how to use an IDE and IDE hotkeys, and they gave me a cheat sheet and said, here are all the hotkeys. Click the hotkeys, you get the work done. So now we live in a world where everybody kind of believes that instead of doing that, you know, our brains are getting attacked by social media to reduce the amount of actual work that anyone would ever actually do. And in doing that, in social mediaing all of our brains, you know, we're stuck in this ever repeating cycle of trying to make better programming. And we're pretending that ChatGPT is going to make programmers build software 30% faster, which isn't the problem. We already had the technology to build software 30% faster, but we didn't use it because managers above the programmers would tell the programmers not to use that technology because of deadlines. So because of that, no one was ever going to make things 30% faster. Like, there are some people who try to write really, really well-written code and do a good job. Those people will probably get fired in about half the jobs today. So anyway, if you talk to someone who has to use AI in order to develop their code because it makes them 30% faster, I think what's really happening there is probably an advertising agenda from people at the top to try to promote the AIs. It's like if you build something and then you want to find a use case to use it, rather than starting from a use case and building technology to solve what people actually need, which would probably be a whole lot smarter. So I feel like when we're doing that and we're trying to convince everyone that the only way that you can build software is going to be with AI, we're also creating a world where almost by definition, the AIs that people are going to use are going to be web-based AIs. So now, instead of your own computer writing the software, you have to call up Microsoft in a virtual way every time you want to write software. Meanwhile, I'm over here with my peon. Now I can click his build command and I can tell him to build, even though he couldn't do that. You know, just the other night I made a video where I talked about how another GitHub contributor changed the meaning of pause and stun so that what I previously treated as a pause, he treats as a stun, and I merged his changes without reading it. Now, while I'm talking, right sitting here, in 10 seconds I went in and changed the code, and I did it all with auto-suggest. It was perfect. It didn't take any effort. It was easy. So, you know, my point is, that's just one small thing, but if the whole entire system was that way, if everything was easy to build, you'd have a pretty good time. And we already had that, you know, a dozen years ago. So I'm not doing something new and innovative in terms of software and mimicking Warcraft. I'm using systems from a dozen years ago to try to make it fast and efficient to build things. The silly part is the original Warcraft is made from systems from 24 years ago, and so their systems don't develop as quickly as mine. So when they try to hire Brad Chan to upgrade Warcraft, he'll probably do it wrong. But then he has to turn back to AI and hope that the AI can understand the code, which, you know, it probably won't. And then all he can do is just copy more slider bars or something while we're all stuck in a stupid world. So then you get over here, and I can't cast Farsight. And you think to yourself, why can't I cast Farsight? Farsight is so simple. You just click Farsight, and you click the map, and it reveals it. And I can't even do that. Why can't I do that? That's ridiculous. And what if I wanted to have Farsight? You know, if I go to See Ability Feral Spirit, you know, if I try to have a good system where I can actually get things done, I would just say, I'm going to have a new class called See Ability Farsight. You know, that's not that complicated. We're going to subclass like the See Ability, what is this thing? This is a spell base, but it should be a target spell base. Okay, great, because it targets a point. In fact, it should probably be point target spell base. Great. So this is a spell base, and what does that mean? That means it's going to have an order ID. My order IDs are going to auto suggest, so I'm going to auto suggest Farsight from the list of order IDs. I also have to fix this compile error at the top. Now, what compile error is that? It needs a constructor. It's going to have a handle ID and an alias. That's easy. Do effect. What does do effect do? It returns true if you're channeling, but we're not. We just cast a spell, and it does something as a target area. So what's the thing I'm going to do with that area? Well, I'm going to go reveal the map. We also have populate data. Now, populate data is a little bit harder because you need to know what data to use. Now, conveniently for me, usually what I would do if I had that was to use the world editor, but I don't even think I need to use the world editor, because probably what we can do is get our world editor ability, get a field float, which I'm guessing would be the radius that we're clicking at. This would probably be ability fields, again, auto suggest, data A1, and instead of A1, it's A level, so it's data A level. Now, I think there might have been a problem for a while that the index here was actually stupid, and so we might actually need to do data A plus level, because it is actually called data A1 is the name of the field. Now, a really smart person would say that's terrible design to require someone to string concatenate right here and getting the data. They're probably right about that, but I don't really care. Here's the radius that I'm populating, so every time I level up the ability, I have a radius. How much Farsight do I reveal? Then I'm going to do an effect. The effect I'm going to do is to reveal that area. Now, for that, I'm going to need this game simulation right here to try to, you know, create fog modifier or something. Add what new fog mod? What is that called? Create visibility modifier. I'm pretty sure it exists, so I don't know if it exists. So what am I going to do for that? I'll just jump over to the JAS, add, you know, create fog modifier thing. Cool. Now, what is that? How does that work? So there is actually something called fog modifier. It's kind of, it looks overcomplicated, to be totally honest, but let's take a look at that. So there's some kind of rect fog modifier. There seems to be other kinds of fog modifiers. What do we got? We got timed circle. That sounds really good. Now, who creates that? Where did that come from? That's created by the AB Action Run Vision mod. So this tells us that the Ability Builder universe, basically a GitHub contributor who just coded a huge number of War Smash abilities, they already thought of it. They already did it. So what am I going to do? Let's just make one of these. You do start to wonder, how do you use a fog modifier? So I guess player has add fog modifier. That's great. Okay, so let's get the simulation. We'll get player. We're going to get the player on the caster unit player index. So basically the owner of the casting unit. So you see I have the player. If you wanted to have a variable, you could have owning player as the player that owns the casting unit. But this is like software 101, and we're just doing auto suggest for the variables, right? And I'm like, okay, player add fog modifier. Of course, you need a reference to game simulation to do that, but basically see fog modifier. Now, of course, computing proposals. How does that work? I don't know, and I don't care, but it's something invented however many dozen years ago. There is like a timed circle version, so let's do that. Okay, see fog state. What is this fog state? This is like probably visible. Can be visible, masked, or fogged, and we're definitely providing visible. Other stats. Now here's where my auto suggest is not an AI, and so it failed, and it put owning player, owning player, owning player, owning player. It's extremely stupid. You don't want to do that. Do radius and then target.x, target.y, and then the actual duration. Now I think the duration that we're going to set is just going to be get duration. which is going to look up the duration of the ability. That's handled automatically. Also, my new fog modifier should be a variable, because I think these fog modifiers have a function on them. It's something like set enabled. And so, maybe I need to make sure it's enabled. I don't remember if it does that automatically by default. It might. Oh, yeah, it does, because it looks like the guy who was doing the AB builder ones made it that it does. Even though if you made a, JAS one, they actually start disabled, which is really dumb. I'm pretty sure, at least. How does that work? Fog modifier. This has set. Oh, set enabled doesn't even work on the fog mod. That's just broken. Yeah, okay. I don't think the JAS one's finished being written yet, but I'm pretty sure this one here will work. So we add this to the player. It's enabled. It'll update and it'll reveal the area, and then it'll die after the duration. I mean, look at that. I just coded Farsight. Like, how hard is that? That took like 10 seconds. Okay, that's how software should be. Some people are out there telling you need an AI to code Farsight. Why? What is that? Why do you need that? I don't need that. Okay, I can barely even, remember that I just wrote it because I didn't sleep enough last night. It's like I already, did I code Farsight? I guess now I did, And maybe that's how the whole mimicking of Warcraft came from, is because if you just actually use a system that's good, you'll get work done. But we're not going to use systems that are good, because the AI of social media is going to get in our heads to tell us to use the AI of Microsoft, and the AI of Microsoft is going to tell us you can only build software by asking for, please ChatGPT, won't you write my software? Which becomes this infinite feedback loop where you can't get anything done. It's not deterministic. The thing about what I just did is it's going to work every single night. I can unplug my computer from the internet, and I can sit here and do what I just did, and it's going to work every single time. And you can do what I just did on a Raspberry Pi, a little computer like this big. You know why? Because why not? Because it's not hard to do. It's not like rocket science. It's a deterministic. You take the text, you break the text into tokens, and then the tokens are used for predicting what is inserts off of what token. A bunch of programming languages that are more complicated than Java are not good at doing that because the language is too complicated. Oracle wants to profit off of Java, so they're out there trying to make Java more complicated like other languages, in the hopes that that'll make people want to use it, because they don't really know why people use it, and they just want a bunch of money. So obviously we have these problems that there's a lot of people in the world that just want a bunch of money. They don't actually want to make things better for anyone. But if you knew someone smart who knew how to get things done and who knew how to code Farsight in 5 minutes, you could do it. And what are the odds? Here's the question. What are the odds that when I cast Farsight right now, my awesome magic spell from across the entire map, it's just going to instantly work. It's going to reveal, and it's going to charge my guy 75 mana. And you're going to think in your head, now how is it going to charge 75 mana? That we didn't even program that. Is that magic? Is that magic that I can have a software system that makes things work by default? I don't think that's magic. Okay, to me that's not magic. That's because ability target spell base, see ability point target spell base, okay, is something that I made for defaults on abilities. Now, the reality is nothing ever works the first time. So I have no idea, but I'm sure when I train this Farseer and try to learn Farsight, it won't work. In fact, I actually know why it won't work. And you know why it won't work is because the one last key, ability, data, Farsight, if we look at something like Feral Spirit, which of course I made this too complicated and kind of turned it off. Feral Spirit is SF because FS is Farsight. So one of the other problems with this is that when we define these abilities, we had to map them so the game could find them. Like, we know when does the game create my piece of code? That's not automatic in the ability point target spell base. We still have to say, when I actually learn the Farsight skill is when my guy gets the Farsight ability. So obviously, you have to be a little smart about these things to make this go. But this is just my example. Hopefully it'll actually work the first time now. Second time, I suppose, depending on how you define that. But it should be easy, right? And so what is the future going to be? Are we gonna have all the humans surrender their futures to the ChatGPTs because it made introductory programming marginally easier? I don't know. And then there are other people who would laugh at me and say, no, the ChatGPTs are going to write all software for all of humanity all the time. I mean, that would obviously be really fun for a while if it actually worked. All kinds of people would make all kinds of software. I'd open a little text prompt and I'd type in, finish the rest of War Smash, and it would just be done. It would just instantly be done. The whole thing would be done. because, you know, the AI would just be a wizard at that point. It would instantly know how to do it. I mean, maybe, you know, maybe that'll happen. It's conceivable that that might happen, but what if it doesn't? You know, what if it doesn't? If you actually want to get things done, I think that it's a pathway to a death spiral to use a probabilistic machine to do a deterministic automaton's job. Like, if you want to predict the next code that you're going to type, you can predict it with a high degree of accuracy just based off of understanding the scope of something and having a language with good scopes. And we don't always do that. We don't always have a language with good scopes. But you can see I just made Farsight. How did I do that? I didn't use AI. Well, okay, there might be a little bit of, you know, the auto-suggest. Does it bring to the top or something, the most likely thing to suggest with some kind of, you know, data model? But I've seen it done where those data models run when I'm unplugged from the wall. I mean, this is not an internet-based auto-suggest type of thing, you know? So something else I saw, these guys made it that the peons, I gotta fix this. The GitHub contributor code I merged, combined with the code I wrote for peons, made the peons, it's like once they start harvesting, they fly through stuff. That's weird, you know, I don't think it should be that way. But hey, look, I just learned Farsight. Let's Farsight the other side of the map. Look, it costs 75 mana. Look at that, it revealed a tree. Now, you know why it revealed a tree? I don't know. I don't remember why I revealed a tree. So this is the part where we need the world editor, because I actually revealed the wrong kind of area. Either I revealed 0, which is sort of likely, or maybe some other thing went wrong. So then you think about what is the thing going wrong at that point? And one of the things that we could do is to try to look at, if you go to ability data and we look at Farsight, right? Oh, Microsoft sucks. Microsoft really sucks. They have to make everything. I shouldn't be using Microsoft's program here. They're also very bad for other things. Anyway, look, Microsoft sucks. Farsight, this ability, A0FS, okay? It has some datas. What are the datas, you know? Data A1, what is it on FS? That's column, what column is that? That's column 23. A0FS, column 23. Okay, so here we are, column 23. It has 3 as the data. What is that? You know, okay, all right. I see where we're going with this. I need Retera Model Studio, actually. It's a good program. We got to get that program right now. And then I'm going to have to go to bed. It's going to be late. Great, okay, Retera Model Studio. So I wanted Retera Model Studio because I wrote my own object editor so I could look at objects. So that's pretty good. This is going to be better than Microsoft Excel because these guys screwed it all up. All right. If you don't use Microsoft Tech, you know, then it'll start actually working. Okay, great. So I'm in here. I'm in the object editor. We want to find Farsight. Okay, I shouldn't have to do this. All right, we go to Farsight and you look at data, right? Data detection type. So this is a problem right here. I was reading detection type as if it were the thing that I'm being detected. And that's just wrong. That's not really, that's a good point actually though, that Farsight is supposed to provide detection in the area, and I wasn't doing that at all. I was doing not that. So then you wonder, do our vision fog modifiers, can they actually reveal stuff? I don't know. I don't think so. I would not expect that. So, you know, it's kind of silly, but if you just go back to this Farsight ability, the problem is data A1 isn't the radius. Data A1 is supposed to be interpreted as an integer, and that integer is supposed to be detection type. And then we have this problem that radius does exist. You know, get, what is this? World editor ability, get field, and the field is ability fields dot area of effect. And if you get the area of effect, which is probably also level based in a similar way, this would be the radius. See, this is where I went wrong. And so it is a little bit true that as a game of property maps, you know, we need to have the actual property map. Now, I'm also not sure, how do you add, is there like a fog modifier for detection. Unit vision modifier. I'm just curious if this code this other guy made had something designed to do this. I feel like there was you know, like a location vision thing. I guess one way to look at this, CUnit would have, what is it? Add stat mod, stat mods and state mods both exist. One of these, detected, here we go, detected, compute unit state, detected. So you can tag a unit as detected. So we could actually tag units as detected in the area if we wanted to, using the given detection type. Now the problem with that is it requires a persistent effect where our timed circle modifier on update would actually have an additional persistent effect of a detection type in the area. So that, I guess, what you can do is you could imagine that we might do something here where, yeah, let's make that. So let's say instead of timed circle fog modifier, we're going to have timed circle fog true site modifier. Basically, I mean, it's just, or maybe a detecting modifier. It's like the same thing, but it has a detector component attached. It's just kind of unfortunate we didn't already have that, right? Almost every ability, there's something else going on in it that you didn't think of. So this thing, whenever it updates, one of the things is, you know, what's the update frequency of that? I don't actually know. I assume that this is update fog modifiers is probably not super frequent. Update fog of war. Yeah, this is extremely infrequent. This is the one that happens on a timer that timeouts every 1 second. So it's extremely infrequent. So we don't care about performance at all in this. It doesn't matter because it won't lag. Cool. So this happens every 1 second. Very, very infrequent. And I think what we can do is get world collision, enum units in range of this dot x. Do we have this dot x? We don't have this dot. That's very sad. They called it my x. I wouldn't have done that. All right, get my x, get my y. You know what's easier to type than get my x? Get x. All right, so get my x, right? Units in range, y radius. And somebody over here is saying, oh, well, my AI can write this code so much faster than you. Okay, but can you use your AI on a deserted mountain? You know, can you carry your AI with you on a computer? Maybe if it's Facebook, but then why are you using Facebook? No one should probably use Facebook. I don't think Facebook is very good. Same thing with radius, actually. We don't have get radius. There ought to probably be get radius, you know. All right, get radius, cool. So this thing, it's doing the same thing. It's getting the same area. It's getting the same radius. It's getting all the units. But what does it do with those units, you know? All right, let's make one of these things. This is automatic insert the code. Now, how did it know how to do that? Wow, it automatically generated the code. So for all the units in the area, I assume, now actually we do want to read on this thing, return true if we stop execution. We don't ever want to stop, we just get all the units in the area. So returns false. So we got this unit. The unit in the area is the one being revealed. So the way to do that is unit.add state mod buff, and this is new state mod buff type detected. And so the key to this is to have a detection type that wasn't previously there. Add that in. And then somebody else is going to tell me, wait a minute, detection type isn't used in Warcraft 3. This field doesn't do anything. It was never implemented. You're right. The guy who implemented the GitHub contributor who implemented these abilities, knowing that it wasn't used in the original, added a system to use it in Warp Smash for fun. Because what if you want a detection type? You know, what if you want one detector to be more powerful than another? So then we have this. So I think this works. This is the state modifier that we're applying to the unit, which tags them with a given detection type. Now the problem, of course, in doing this is knowing which player detected this? This seems wrong to me, that you can actually add detected as a state if we don't know which player did the detecting. So I am actually curious, in anything that previously uses this, what is it using it for? Because it seems wrong. And I guess what I'm seeing is that it's not used anywhere, which actually makes a lot of sense. So when we update the fog of war, detection levels, check, what do we do with that? Detections. Check cardinal vision detect. So this seems like code that is more complicated, than you would wish that it would be. But I guess it's the cardinal directions. So we're checking the cardinal directions off the unit, and it's looking for, that's how you get that kind of star pattern when a unit has a fog of war. And it's been baked into the function of unit line of sight that they can detector things, which then prevents similar code from running in one of these fog modifiers. So then you get back to where War Smash is taking time to build things, but the original Warcraft would not. These problems I'm having, you wouldn't have on the original Warcraft because it's already done. They already did it right. So like then you say, why does a circle fog modifier not have a detection type option, but a unit does? Why are they different? Why don't they share code? Unit sees a circle, detector fog modifier sees a circle. It doesn't make sense. It should be probably honestly the same subroutine, but it's not, and it's like my fault. I didn't fix that, and then somebody else like contributed more stuff on top of it, and I was just kind of like, okay. So it's pretty dumb. Detected shouldn't be a state that you can add, because then that would like lag. Like we have to know. Let me say this differently. Okay, if I'm playing a multiplayer game with you, and on my computer a unit is detected, and on your computer it is not, that difference has to be known to both computers. Your computer needs to be aware if I detected the unit or not. So it cannot be a detected state on a unit, if it's detected or not, that just desyncs. It has to be a detected state paired with who detected it. So fundamentally, this has to like get rewritten or something. We can't have a state of detected. That's not a good state. It's just not. I actually don't even know if that was getting used. It probably wasn't, but I don't like it anymore because I don't think it would work. I think that detector, the state, is probably the one that was getting used. Although I'm also not sure, how does detector state work? Because if you picture a unit gathering things around it, the detection area does not always match the detector's line of sight. They're different. I think we're just looking at things in War Smash that just don't match Warcraft 3, and I haven't fixed them yet. So this is a downside. You look at something extremely easy and it becomes extremely hard, but I know how to fix it. You know how to fix it? Just abandon ship on this thing and come back later. I might delete it, I might not, but if I don't delete it and we just have Farsight, it's still going to work because we fixed all that other stuff with Radius. So you know what? I don't have any invisible units anyway. Don't worry about it. There you go. If it's just for show to prove a point, you could imagine that I had the rest of the game engine. Just an invisible concept. If it existed, if the system was good, then adding the things that I just added would be good. And a person could spend the time and could invent them to be good. I just didn't do that yet. So let me just go in here. I'm going to get Farsight. I'm going to reveal the map, and I'm going to feel good about myself. But I think my original point stands, that even if my jumping through the code and auto-inserting things is not entirely perfect because of the limits of the system itself, I don't think the aspiration of the infinitely large context window so that you can just describe to the code what you want and it just happens. There's really two futures, right? One future is that doesn't happen, that's ridiculous, in which case I'm going to get better efficiency out of a code base like I have here. The other future is that does happen and we're all screwed. I mean, if you can load an entire code base into basically a conscious machine that understands the entire code base and you can ask for any change to it and it does that change, there's no reason to rewrite Warcraft, because you can just ask the machine to rewrite all of Warcraft and it would just do all of it because it would understand how to do things and it would do things as soon as you ask it. So I mean, I really think it's one or the other, right? We either have the everything machines or we don't. And if we don't, whatever we have is probably a piece of junk, and then I'm going to be really happy to have what I have right here. So it's just interesting to think in that world, you know, junk or not junk. I am a little bit unsure of the future, because there's a lot of people who believe in the not junk future, and they say, no, the future is, we don't need software developers anymore. We don't need the human brain. We're not going to have humans solving problems. We're not going to have technology that gets made by people. We're going to ask the technology for more technology. Ask and you will receive. And that's the way that they're telling us the future will be. I mean, like, it's a similar problem to saying there should never be any more artists because AI solved art. Like, that's probably not true. Because when you AI generate artwork, you're like AI generating within the parameters of like a bunch of text that is learned, and you're not going to have, you know, where the concept of the art came from. That looks pretty good, but it's actually missing the reveal effect. That's pretty sad. See here in do effect, we actually need simulation add. What is it? Create spell effect, temporary spell effect. We don't have spell effect at point. Really? Nothing in War Smash creates spell effect at a point. That's very stupid. You know how stupid that is? Look at how stupid that is. But also, do you see how I have all this automatic suggest of creating things? So I immediately know if the function I wanted exists or not. It's not an AI. It's not going to hallucinate. It's just true and false. It's the reality. It's a deterministic detector. So I'm going to go to create temporary spell effect on unit, and I'm just going to make the same thing, create temporary spell effect on point. I don't have no idea why we didn't already have that, but that's what we're going to have. Okay, and it's going to take a float x and a y. And I know that the underlying game engine already has this function. I've used it repeatedly. Now I think this probably also is supposed to have an index, and was probably just missing an index for laziness effect or whatever. I don't need to be lazy. So let's see, x, y, index. To be honest, maybe I shouldn't do the temporary one. The temporary one is sort of a hack. It's an early version. Really, it should be a persistent function, and then you just destroy the persistent one immediately if you don't need it or something. So sure, okay. So create this thing, which causes us to create a method over here, which we organize wherever you want to put it, you know, spawn, spell effect, whatever. And then I find out it was already here. Now so it's called spawn. Okay, so it's called spawn instead of create. Well, that's stupid. All right, create persistent spell effect on, so it doesn't need to exist. It already exists. You know, I'm not surprised. Okay. So we go back to Farsight. Okay, why is it called spawn? That should get patched. That's really stupid. Spawn temporary spell effect on point. Well, how about just spawn spell effect on point? So we spawn the spell effect on the point. Target X, you know, target Y. Facing, I don't care about facing, 0. Alias is the alias of this. C effect type. You got to know which effect type to do. It's probably area of effect like it's suggested. But if you don't know, you go up here to this thing, and we find out it's not any of those. It's using XBDT. That's so stupid. All right, well, we can get XBDT. You know, all we have to do is say, what, ability fields, get game object things. So how do you do that? Get buff, get effects. One of these, I was pretty sure ability spell base had get buff. One of these things did it. Ability fields? Is there like ability field utils for getting, yeah, see buff ID, this thing. All right. That, whatever that is, we want that. Okay, so we get that. Dot get effect ID. All right, so that's a little bit unfortunate we have to do that, but sure, we use this thing, get effect ID, and we get it on our thing, and we get the level. So now I have my effect ID, which is great. That's exactly what I wanted. Now it's a member variable. Okay. Auto suggest builds into this. Okay, so I have my effect ID. None of this is AI, I don't think. These are all deterministic automatons that work the same every time, so the code will always be written as desired. Right here where I get alias, we're going to get this .effect ID instead. Other than that, it's pretty much all the same. And the index that we spawn is just going to be 0. So this is going to be the reveal area effect. Now this has another problem. Okay, now the problem that this has is that the timed circle fog modifier that we create needs to be the guy who has basically the handling of our thing that we just created. So stupidly, basically this reveal area of effect needs to be like removed, but it needs to be removed when the fog modifier expires. It has a duration. So I hooked into the fog modifier's remove with an auto suggest and inserted the remove as a callback, and then I removed the area of effect. It's easy, it makes sense, kind of. And then I just run that. Okay, so that should probably play the sound and the stuff. I don't know that my audio is going to record sounds, but let's see where we're at. Great. So now I'm going to have a reveal effect. And the reveal effect should, if all goes well, do the light and the sound and all that in the area that I revealed in. How cool is that? It's extremely straightforward to do that. It doesn't need an AI. The point of the AI is full replacement of humans, okay? The point of the AI is, can I just ask the AI rewrite all Warcraft? And if it does, it is. If it doesn't, it isn't. That's what I think. Marginal replacement of humans would be so extremely annoying. Why would you want that? Just get automation. You know, just get, when I click, I do 15 things. And it's always the same 15 things every time. So my mind can be the deciding factor of what to do in a way that has extreme precision and reliability. And this is why AI and software is just crazy. Why are you going to do that? Who's doing that? I think it's the fraudsters, you know, that want to do AI and software because they don't want extreme reliability. They want for everyone on Earth to upload all their code to Microsoft. You know, whose idea was that? I bet that was Microsoft's idea. Alright, well, it's getting late. I'm going to have to go to sleep soon. But I think that before I go to sleep, I'm going to build this Altar of Storms. And on my Altar of Storms, I'm going to summon my Farseer. And my Farseer is going to reveal an area on the map. And that area that he's going to reveal, it's going to be great because it's going to have a big yellow swirly light thing on it. Probably. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, I don't have enough burrows to build my Farseer. Okay, well, let's build a burrow then, you know. Obviously. You would obviously want to do that. Alright.
What do you want?
Should I build another burrow? Why not? I can have as many burrows as I want.
Ready to work. Ready to work. Work complete.
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to stop the world from firing all the software developers someday, but I do think that
work complete.
If we could,
ready to work.
I don't know, if people in company settings who need to get things done could have really good auto suggests like that in a system that's reliable. Most systems aren't reliable, even when they could have been, because we write bad software that's inconsistent. You know, a language like Java that I use to build War Smash is such a stupid language. It's like there weren't very many language features. It's like if you took C++ and then deleted 3/4 of the features out of the language. And the result is, it's so stupid simple, a computer can do it. And that's kind of what you actually want in your code, is a computer to do it, right? So, you know, that's sort of interesting. Hey, look at this. Look at this. Oh, it didn't work. I don't know why it didn't work, but I'm kind of let down. I wanted it to work. Alright, why do we think that it didn't work? So, I create this modifier, and I spawn this thing. Oh, I bet I know why. I bet area effect is wrong. So it's spawning the area of effect, but it shouldn't be doing that. You know, it should be spawning whatever XBDT or whatever that thing is, reveal effect. See, it's the effect art, it's not the area of it. That's so stupid. So these property maps on Warcraft look up by different types, and I'm looking up by the wrong type. That's tragic. That's tragic. Can we just spawn a free farseer? Why don't we get a free farseer? Okay, so instead of that, we're gonna load file. Let's see if I can get just hero test.w3x. It was a map I made for testing heroes. It probably has a farseer that's level 10. We can just spawn, maybe. Cool. So if I'm right, and AI is not really going to be a progress accelerator for humans, it's either going to be a bunch of junk or it's going to be replacing all the humans, then it's probably pretty stupid to be coding with AI. Maybe, I mean, I think, because the end result is that you're going to be writing code that's going to take away your sovereignty. You're only going to be able to get it done by uploading whatever you're doing to Microsoft. Hey, look at that. See that reveal effect? That's what I'm going for right there. Look at that. You can do like a couple of them. Oh, so cool. And if you level it up a whole bunch and then you cast it again in the same place, it'll be like a really big area that just reveals like everything on that side of the map. How cool is that? You know, now I have Farsight. That wasn't very hard. I made it hard by my own engine designs in my way.
Evil.
You know, so it's just like, why do things have to suck? You know, and most of the time when software sucks, it's probably our own fault over here. You know, like Avatar. Why does Avatar not make this guy turn gray? I was pretty sure Avatar made this guy turn gray. Something broke that. You know, that's stupid. That shouldn't be broken. You can summon a water elemental. Look how fun that is. You know, you can go over here. You can be like, oh, let's get one of these owl scouts. An owl scout doesn't probably have true sight yet. So this is not loading abilities like evasion, which is frustrating because it should load abilities like evasion. You know, why are we not loading that? Why don't we have Shadow Strike? You know, I want Shadow Strike now.
Justice shall be swift. Justice shall be swift.
And I better know why. But it doesn't really matter. So, you know, that's probably because in C ability data, if false should be we're already, it still is if true to load these things. It just doesn't load them. That's just, what is that doing? This has been totally broken. There was a point where the ability behaviors would have had something like evasion, you know, like general passives would have included. What is this opening? I don't want that, Microsoft. No, Microsoft, go away. Go away. Okay, all right. You have to tell this thing, open in a text editor because we're using JSON. All right, evasion. Okay, what is, so it's evasion listener. AEEV right here. So this is not parsing. And that makes you wonder, right? Why is that not parsing? Who changed what so that that didn't work? It's a good question. You know, that's a pretty good question. You look at this and it says it's loading in core assets. Core assets, ability behaviors. It's right here. So why does that not load? Interesting question. I don't have the answer. Getting the answer is probably time consuming. But then you get back to, why is it time consuming? Can we construct software where finding answers is not time consuming? That's part of my point. You know, are you just going to ask an AI, hey, why don't I have evasion? And you're just going to hope the AI can find it. What are you going to do if the AI can't find it? You know, at no point in my video today did I Google how to do something or ask a chat GPT. All right, you know what this does? It loads ability behavior files. It goes to a folder called ability behaviors and it gets all the stuff in that folder. And then it's like, did I spell the folder wrong? This has been working for a while, but now it's not, you know? All right, we go to ability behaviors for every file in that thing. Load ability builder file. Okay, if that's itself a directory, we load that. Otherwise, we'd spin it up as a JSON. I mean, you would think that would work, right? I feel like you would think that would work. Maybe it doesn't, you know? Why doesn't it? Failed to load ability builder config. I mean, are we hitting this case? Is this what's happening? Are we doing that? I don't know. You get a debugger, you ask the question, but are you going to tell me an AI would already know? Like why we don't have evasion? How many tokens is the AI going to parse to figure out why we don't have evasion? What are we going to look at, man? How are we going to do that? AI is going to replace this? I mean, it would be such an interesting world if it did. I'm not saying that I know for a fact it cannot, but I'm questioning how did we get here that we think that's what's going to happen. All right, well this kind of sucks because it's going slowly, but if this thing doesn't fail and it doesn't find any files, and we're not in the directory that we think we're in, because obviously this thing right here is saying load the files, like fundamentally, didn't we already load? Is this telling us we already loaded the entire map? And then you get back to where, did we? You know, is that actually something that happened? Can we breakpoint on this stuff? I mean, if we already loaded, if we're already saying that we loaded everything, what are we looking at here? You know, okay, so a JAS native. I don't need to care about that. That's probably an old breakpoint. I'm just curious, you know. Okay, so that thing doesn't matter. I don't even know what's breakpointing on that. It's, you wouldn't want to. We're probably looking at the game itself just launched. Yeah, okay. So then we're going to try to tell me that there's no files in the ability builder folder, which is just such a strange claim for the system to make when I literally see the files in that folder. It's weird, right? Oh, here we go. All right, they do exist. They do exist. All right, what file am I looking at? auras.json. Now, I saw this before the auras actually did load, I think. So let's say I don't care about auras. Let's say I want to see the other files. Let's say I want to see general passives. You know? Why can't I load general passives? Okay, so this is dumb, but now what file is it? Now it's default. Well, default sucks. We don't care about that. Oh, so that was it. So the default killed it. So it actually doesn't want to process an empty folder or default and new stuff. Whatever these are, they seem to be totally empty. So that explains it then. You just kill that off, eliminate those. How stupid is that? It's a night and a half of all the abilities didn't load because the default folder was there and it was empty, you know? And how did I figure it out? Was AI going to tell me that? You know, hey man, you have an empty folder that is preventing your software project from operating. And the log file isn't showing that happened because it has 1,000 lines of absolute nonsense in it. And this one thing in the absolute nonsense was the thing that really mattered. How is an AI going to find that? I mean, it's not impossible. But if you have an AI that's already that smart, then we have reached a point of technology where, look at this, I'm about to learn evasion. You see that? I learned evasion. Now, how'd I do that? I did that with AI. Not really, right? And that's my joke. Okay, I didn't do it with AI at all. How would you do that with AI? Like, is the AI going to find a needle in a haystack in a software repo that is just completely stupid? That the problem is stupid, the diagnosis is stupid because it's in a log and you don't even know which log. And it's going to pretend like a file failed, but it didn't fail. It just... Getting to a point that AI could ingest all of the software and solve all of the problems like that would be so extraordinary. We wouldn't... The face of the planet would change. It either will happen or it will not. But if we get halfway there, we're just going to have a bunch of stupid crap. You either get there or you don't, is my opinion. Once you have this stuff. Look how nice this is. I can learn all these abilities. Oh, I thought we had vengeance. Never mind, I don't have vengeance. All right, can I learn all my abilities? Oh, I only have some of the abilities on some of the heroes. Look at this guy, though. He's pretty fun. He has Force of Nature. Look how fun that is. I Force of Nature to tree. Now I'm treeing. Now, isn't it stupid that I don't have Entangling Roots? Like, I feel like Entangling Roots is really easy. We just, like, put a buff on them that deals damage. Like, it's just not even hard.
Nature
Seems very
is
unfortunate
restless.
that we don't have that.
Speak. What is it now?
You know,
To me.
some of these things,
Aye.
they're not hard to do. Does this guy have,
I'm coming through. Brilliant.
no, he's not
I'm
playing
coming
his
through.
alternate animations when he casts Avatar. I think that's really lame. Should probably
You
fix
shall
that.
know.
How about Phoenix? Did I finally make it survive when he summons it? Nope, he summons dead phoenixes. All right. Well, anyway, that was my rant about AI, I guess, and technology. I'm curious, you know, is AI going to replace all software development? Can I just ask the AI to finish rewriting all of Warcraft? But once Evasion doesn't load, what prompt do you type in to say somewhere in the code Evasion is not loading, and we don't know why, and we don't know where it is, and how do we find it? And then you're going to have another thing where you probably want an AI prompt to tell you why can't, you know, people probably couldn't even see that I was learning Evasion because my video of myself was in the corner of the screen down here, you know, like that's not super smart. So there you go. It's an interesting world we live in. What's going to be the future?